The views expressed are not necessarily those of KSCJ and Powell Broadcasting Company. This program is not intended to replace the advice of doctors or other clinical providers. Consult with your practitioner to ensure the proper course of action for you.
Welcome to When Things Aren't Going Well on AM 1360, FM 94.9 KSCJ. This program is dedicated to your mental health wellness and brought to you by Family Services, a United Way partner agency. Here's your host, Art Silva.
Good morning, Siouxland, and welcome to When Things Aren't Going Well. This show is all about your mental wellness and how you can help navigate the daily highway of life. We hope to educate and motivate you to help improve your mental wellness environment. I'm Art Silva, and our show is brought to you by Boys and Girls Home and Family Services, a United Way partner agency, serving the Siouxland community since 1894. Whew, that's a long time. Let me introduce my co-host, Brenda Geisinger, the Chief Operating Officer of Boys and Girls Home and Family Services. Good morning, Brenda.
Good morning.
How you living?
I'm doing great. How about you?
Other than
Staying
being a little
cool?
tepid, a little warm, I'm doing okay.
We got boiling coffee today.
Oh, I'll tell you, we're going to think about these days in the middle of January, and not complain.
Exactly.
So, it's all good. Well, we are dedicating 2023 to families and the stress they are facing daily. Today, we're going to focus on our middle and high school children. Brenda, would you please introduce our guest and topic for today?
Absolutely. So today we're really going to talk about those kiddos, middle school to high school kids, and some of the struggles that we see. And today we have with us Mary Pickens. She works at the agency in the development department. You know how to even summarize everything she does because she does everything for us. But she also gathers a lot of numbers on surveys and research and really just kind of keeps us on that cutting edge of doing what we do best, helping families and kids. So welcome, Mary.
Thanks. I'm so glad to be here with you guys today.
Well, Mary, you keep us up to date with all the trends and national reports and local reports that come out. So we have good data, and thank you very much for that. There's so much information coming out on mental health right now, and that's good. But what we want to do is to bring some startling numbers forward regarding the middle school and high school students and some of the things that they're facing. So with that, you want to lead us into this discussion?
I'd love to, Art. Iowa, since 1999, has done an Iowa Youth Survey where they've surveyed the 6th, 8th, and 11th graders in Iowa. They get about 50% of the schools participating. The students are surveyed without their parents. Their parents will not be given their individual results, so they feel it's a safe place to say what's going on. It's the Iowa Department of Public Health in conjunction with the University of Northern Iowa. So we've got about 50% of schools that participate. And it's a wonderful survey that lets us know what's happening for our youth. But the mental health numbers are startling.
Well, why don't we start off, and let's start off with one that probably gathers the most attention, and that's the startling suicide statistics. Would you want to go through that? We'll try to explain what they mean.
I would love to. I mean, really what we're going to talk about is suicidal ideation, which, Brenda, you can address is that basically thinking about suicide.
Yep.
And we have it's 24% of 11th graders, 21% of 8th graders, and 17% of 6th graders considered suicide, had a thought about it. 24% of the 11th graders, that's 1 in 4. 1 in 4 11th graders considered suicide in 2021. And those are all of Iowa students. These aren't students that are suffering from mental health or who have been identified. This is every single member of that class. If you have a classroom of 20 students, then you've got 5 of them that have thought about suicide, which is a really shocking number.
Now let's just go back and review who conducted this survey and what years and what grades are involved in this.
So this started in 1999 where Iowa did this, and the Iowa Department of Public Health did it in conjunction with the University of Northern Iowa. And we've got 6th graders, 8th graders, and 11th graders that have been identified and they have been tested. And it's about 50% of the schools in Iowa that participate.
And this survey was done with the students understanding that it would not be shared with their parents.
Correct. So that gives us a little bit better number on what's going on.
So let's continue into that. Brenda, do you want to add anything on the ideation and on what we see with some of our children?
I think the survey is a very valuable tool. Everybody likes to believe or hope or just have this idea that, kids may struggle, but they aren't really thinking of suicide. And this really shows us that the kids today in Iowa are having thoughts of suicide, of killing themselves. And that's alarming. When you talk about, 1 in 4 or 1 in 5, just one is too much. And when you have that high of a number and they're making thoughts about, I shouldn't be here, I want to die.
It's a very tough situation, and these numbers are very startling. I'm at Silva along with Brenda Geisinger and Mary Pickens, and you're listening to When Things Aren't Going Well right here on 1360 AM, 94.9 FM, KSCJ. Let's go back to our discussion. Mary, how about let's go to another statistic, suicide plans.
So basically, about 50% of those children that have thought about suicide have had suicidal ideation or thought about suicide, then make a plan. So we've got 12% of 11th graders, 11% of 8th graders, and 8% of 6th graders.
All the way down to 6th grade.
All the way down to 6th graders, 8% of 6th graders. So it's almost 1 in 10 that have actually made a plan, not just considered, but made a plan, thought about how they would kill themselves, which is a really scary thing. The other thing that's really telling about these numbers is this is Iowa. This isn't a national number. We can't push this off to something else. This is here in our own backyards.
Well, again, I think if we can educate people, which is one of the objectives of this show, we can get into some of the things we need to look at. Brenda, let's talk about some of the we haven't got the suicide plans.
Okay, so we did the plans, but the attempts are that 50% of those children that have a plan have then considered, have actually attempted suicide.
I have a hard time digesting those numbers. I really do.
It's just
scary.
really scary. So we've got 5% of 11th graders attempted suicide.
Brenda, let's talk about some of the developmental milestones we should be looking for in our children at this age.
So, as a parent and those that are parents listening, this is a tough age. We all remember those middle school years and that bullying and peer pressure, the kids rolling their eyes at us when we're trying to talk to them. And they really start focusing on themselves, the kids do. And they get moody. They have really high expectations, but kind of a lack of confidence. Those big feet are going faster than their little brains. So it's a tough time for these kids. They're trying to find their independence, their purpose, and really navigating what to do, but not rely on their parents. There's a saying that I really think speaks volumes. Our kids don't care what we know unless they know we care. And so it's really that independence, that moodiness. It can lead to depression and really struggling, but by gosh, they're going to do it. So that kind of sums it up real brief.
When you look at that and then you see these changes, you kind of always just chalk them off to the age. That's a large part of it coming into this stage in their life. But they're starting to make choices. And like you said, Brenda, choices may not agree with the parents. And part of the deal is to kind of like, I want my space right here. They're developing their own personality. They're continuing that development. So it's one of these things where we look for these signs as the children, what's normal. And middle school is tough. And then what is really abnormal? And you can only do that by observation, being around your kids, talking with your kids, being involved in their life. But they also go through some emotional and social changes at this age also.
Yeah, that peer group, it is so important to them, more so than their friends or their aunt and their uncle.
And we look at it and say, what are you getting that advice for? But it's not about what you're talking about. It's about how my acceptance is going to be by that group. They start to show more concern about their body and their image. This starts at that age, right, too. And that's a change. And any type of change can be somewhat, upsetting with the kids. How about looking at moodiness?
Yeah, 1 minute you can have a very happy teenager, and the next minute, for whatever reason, you have the tears or the grumpiness. And a lot of it is hormones. A lot of it is not having their expectations met, or they're scared. And so those hormones kick in and their brain is developing and they aren't quite sure what to do or how to manage those emotions all the time.
Now, here's something you moms will all relate to. They start to show less affection. Okay, don't kiss me, Mom. Not in public, whatever. I don't want to, but that's a fact. They get to this point where they think they have to push away and get away, and that's part of their independence. They feel more stress with more challenging schoolwork. The schoolwork gets tougher as you advance in grade. So so a lot of kids make that adjustment. Some people come along at just a different time frame. But we see that. And you touched on this, Brenda, a feeling of sadness and depression, which can lead to poor grades at school, alcohol, drug use, and other problems in the family. So this is a tough time of life for our kids, and I think the best thing we can do here is to listen, be around them, understand them, coach them, and I guess listen. Practice your listening skills. It's really good. Hey, we're coming up on our break right now, so we want you to continue your early morning chill, have another cup of orange juice or a cup of coffee, and we'll be back with more When Things Aren't Going Well right here on 1360 AM, 90.9 FM, KSCJ.
Let's face it, that happens to all of us. However, the pandemic has compounded all of our lives and activities. Even the simplest tasks seem harder. Hi, I'm Brenda Geisinger, the Chief Operating Officer at the Boys and Girls Home and Family Services. Family Services is a United Way partner agency serving children and families of our community, and we're here to help. If you'd like to learn more about Family Services, please contact us via email, website, Facebook, or phone Mary Pickens. At Family Services, we change lives.
Welcome back to When Things Aren't Going Well on KSCJ. Here's Art Silva.
Welcome back to When Things Aren't Going Well. I'm Art Silva along with Brenda Geisinger and our guest Mary Pickens, Assistant Advancement Director at Boys and Girls Home and Family Services. We're talking about middle school kids, high school kids, the stress, and some startling statistics that we're starting to receive back on them. So let's go back, Mary, and let's pick up with some of those numbers. And I think, Brenda, you've been very helpful in helping us. So let's look at this half of the show to be, how do we solve some problems? What can we do? So how about talking about looking at the parent? What are some positive parenting tips that we can share with our audience?
I think I always like to remind people of the 4 C's when it comes to parenting, especially teenagers. So the first C is having a choice. Letting your teenager have a choice when they're making a decision. Don't make the decision for them. If they want to talk or ask you a question, let them explain themselves and why they're asking for whatever they're wanting or needing, and really listening. And then the next is consequences. Life has consequences, but not being attached to that consequence as a parent. If there's a natural consequence, let it happen. When you are speeding in the car, you are going to get a ticket. That is a natural consequence, and then they have to pay for it. So again, as a parent, don't get caught up in you will do this and the anger, and it's really, really hard. It's one of the hardest things you have to do is keep your emotions in check and in letting those consequences happen. And then that follows up with consistency. Being consistent so your child knows what you're going to do and that you're going to be true to your word. Consistency also means family routine and keeping that connection and knowing the rules and the boundaries, being consistent all the time. And if you're not, own up to it and start talking about that with your child. And the last and one of the key things is always having compassion. It's your child and they're trying, and you're a family and you're connecting. And so if you remember the 4 C's, you're on a pretty good, healthy start of being a positive parent.
That is really a good idea. And I know there's a relationship between parental mental health and
Absolutely.
the mental health of the child. So, I mean, it starts at the top. And this is really our responsibility to do the best we can with our kids. And they come to us in different flavors and different problems and different issues.
Well, as Brenda was talking, I'm taking notes, and then thinking about what have I done, where I've been on target with that, and where I haven't, and how can I readjust. So
it's an ongoing story. Mary, could you share some numbers with us broken down by gender?
Yeah, what we're seeing actually is that females are really struggling. We've got 41% of the women that were the young ladies that were tested, the 6th, 8th, and 11th graders, they were so sad or hopeless almost every day for 2 weeks or more in a row that they stopped doing some of their usual activities. So that's almost half. 41%. The males were about 20%. So they're having a little bit of an easier time of this. Not that it's super easy or anything, but girls right now are really struggling. We've got 27% with a suicidal ideation, the thoughts of having suicide. 14% have made a plan, and 7% have made an attempt at suicide. So we just really see our young ladies struggling.
We talk about it a lot, not having a good day or whatever, but when the not having a good day stretches into like 5 not having good days, something's up. Yeah, and I think parents are key to that. I think moms have this kind of like sixth sense. They can kind of tell when something is off with their kids, and the only way you do that is being with the children. So the parental mental health and the mental health of the child, they go hand in hand in the family. And I just think it's very interesting as we start to talk about these things. We want to stress what's going on out there that helps, what's good. We're not here to anybody to take this as, well, you got a problem there, go fix it. No, not at all. It's out here. If you think you might want to get some help, you can certainly give us a call here at Boys and Girls Home, 293-4700. But there are a lot of services in town that offer this. I know I've worked with Heartland Counseling. I know Catholic Charities does this. So there's really no excuse if you really want to get out there and help your child through a difficult time in their life, just normal, forget the social side of it, as their body changes, you're setting them up for success. So it's a team, family is a team, and we need to participate with our kids as much as we possibly can, because at the same time, we are practicing our listening skills. Child safety. The main thing I think parents are responsible for is the safety of the child. And that doesn't stop at any age. I think it's something you're always tied into. So, Mary, Brenda, you want to talk about child safety?
When we have little babies and they start crawling, we really, make sure the cupboards are locked and the chemicals are put away and the outlet covers, right? And as they get older, we're super excited that they can drive themselves to school or they get a job and life is great. But the safety has not stopped, and that may mean putting limits on their social media connections or TV time or just not engaging. It's a different kind of safety, but it is still there. And as parents, we always need to be reminded and mindful of our child's safety, setting curfews and watching, are they partaking in any substances, alcohol, drugs? And it's okay to check on your kid. I am a firm believer putting limits on your teenager. It's not preparing them for the world and all the evils that we may encounter. It's preparing our children to be kind and gentle and enjoying life. And part of being a parent is keeping our kids safe.
Well,
and maybe plugging your phones in the kitchen at night,
right?
So that they're not in their bedrooms. And actually, this made me really unpopular with my nieces. That there's a study that shows that if you limit your social media to 30 minutes or less a day, that it decreases depression and anxiety up to 35%. My nieces were like, "Hang up the phone," and Aunt Mary on that one. But it's really tough because our kids are experiencing something that we didn't have growing up. So it's a very different experience than what we had.
Okay, I'm going to pose this question to you two as mothers. Of the statistics that we just went through, what scares you the most?
The 1 in 4 11th graders that that had suicidal ideation that considered suicide, because that's my kids' age and their cohort in 2021. So that's a really scary number to think about. My daughter and her classmates, very scary. Brings it very home.
I think for me, the alarming thing is all the numbers are going up. And they're all connected, and it's just alarming to me. We know better.
It's getting back, I think, kind of righting the ship. It's always back to the basics. There's nothing new out there. We may have tools and things that can help us, but it's right back to the basic, one-on-one with that child, part of a team, understanding. The child has to know that there's support here. Not that you're going to be put down or whatever. I'm here to help you. And really, all I can share with you is my wisdom, because I've been through all of this. So if they're open-minded, and I want to talk about the sound families. You get a family that's really working together. They may not be challenged by a lack of resources to help the family. They could be a single-family parent. All the more reason why I take this philosophy of a village to raise your kids. We all look out for kids. We try to get kids. We try to make kids shine. That's what we try to do. And if we take it from that approach, it's more incentivizing their behavior than punishing them for doing something wrong. Because remember, this is all a learning curve. This has been a great discussion this morning, ladies, and I appreciate it. And we're coming up to the end of our show. So every week we end our show with a joke. So humor is medicine for the soul. So here we go. Why did the kid eat his homework? Because the teacher said it was a piece of cake. Thanks, Brenda and Mary, and also thanks to our listening audience. Shout Out 2023 is dedicated to families, and this week we celebrate the Fitz and Jennifer Grant family. Fitz and Jennifer are a great example of family life where children thrive. Don't forget to visit our new and improved Stuff store. It's new stuff arriving daily. Stuff is located in the former Indian Hill Shopping Plaza, the new home of the Ginny Peterson Behavioral Health Campus. Boys and Girls Home and Family Services is now hiring therapists and teachers, so call our HR manager at 293-4700. When Things Aren't Going Well, air next Saturday morning at 7 a.m. right here on 1360 AM, 94.9 FM, KSCJ. Your homework this week is to go out and have a good laugh. Remember, be kind to your mind.
Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you. Keep smiling until then. Happy trails to you till we meet again.
For more information on the services provided by Boys and Girls Home and Family Services, see them online at boysandgirlshomeiowa.org. Or you can call 712-293-4700 to get more information about family services, residential treatment, the Opportunity School, the Siouxland Family Center, and more. At Boys and Girls Home and Family Services, we change lives.